Brought to you by CCT.
Live stream cable TV is here with CCT Live. Access over 80 channels that you can watch either at home or when you're on the go. And don't worry about missing your favorite series, sports, news, and local programming. Rewind and watch in your own time. Come to CCT today and ask about our 1-month free trial offer. CCT Live. Bring it home.
Viewers, I would have just returned from Jost van Dyke, where I spoke to a number of residents and parents alike, basically on the issue of Jost van Dyke Primary School. I'm here now with the Minister responsible for education, Dr. the Honourable Natalio Wheatley, who's here to address some of the concerns that was raised during obviously the long session we had on the Sister Island. Honourable Minister, firstly, a major concern is the fact that the school is now on the property of Foxy, which is in close proximity to a bar. Parents were raising that as one of the main issues too. They say they don't mind. It has nothing to do with Foxy. It's just a situation where the students have to basically coexist with tourists. And they have to be sharing the same restroom, etc. And that was one of the main concerns that they were raising. So first, you just speak about the situation presently regarding the Jost van Dyke Primary School and the present situation over there.
Well, thank you, Kamal, for giving me the opportunity to give an update to the people at Jost van Dyke Primary School. As we know, we've been having some challenges on the Jost van Dyke Primary School campus, primarily because we have a building which was formerly a library, which had to be converted into a school after the destruction of the Jost van Dyke Primary School following the 2017 storms. Now, we did a lot of work on that building last year, and that would have been well publicized that we had some mold issues there. We had some electrical issues, some plumbing issues, and we were able to resolve those. But we still having problems with mold there because after the storms, they rebuilt the daycare area there with untreated plywood. And we were advised, well, you're going to continue to have mold problems there as long as you have that structure built with the untreated wood. And as we promised last year, we were going to retrofit trailers to be able to provide alternative accommodation for the teachers and students. I'm happy to report that that contract was signed and the contract has commenced with no limit construction for the retrofitting of 3 trailers. And the contractor assured me that that work should be able to take place in a few weeks. And I'm hopeful that by Easter break that those trailers will be ready to go for the children of Jost van Dyke. I spoke to the principal about the arrangements at Foxy's because, of course, while that work is taking place, we would prefer for the students not to be on the Jost van Dyke campus. And that was the area that was selected. The principal it was able to locate that property as a possible use. I haven't gone over to see the arrangements myself, so I'm just relying on what the principal said, and the principal stated that it's gone smoothly thus far. We know it's not perfect, but of course we don't want the teachers and students exposed to any unhealthy conditions or to be on a work site when that type of work is taking place. So that's why we chose to move them so we can get this necessary work done.
The minister also gave an update on the behind-the-scenes progress of the works for the new school, where he revealed that it will be going to tender in the next 2 weeks. He said the promise will be kept despite it may seem as though nothing is being done.
The work is moving forward. I know often the people of Jost van Dyke sometimes feel as though they've been forgotten, but the work that we've promised is ongoing. Sometimes things are happening in the background. And sometimes you may not hear something for a little while, but it doesn't mean that things are not still happening. Things are moving forward. The school will be built, the trailers will be retrofitted, and the students will have better accommodations to learn in.
Okay. And you just touched on the issue of the trailer. That was another thing raised during the frustration that would have been issued from some of the parents. What they were saying is that the trailers were promised for so long ago that they have not been saying anything since that announcement. Another thing that was raised is where will the trailer be placed? Because even if it's placed at the present location right now is a hazard to the students and to the teachers. Will it be placed in close proximity? Another recommendation for a solution was to be have it placed on the new land that was given to the ministry. Have it placed there, clear away the land basically, and set up those new trailers so that when it comes to the development plans for the new property, therefore then is a situation where it'll be a continuum and the children will be in a better environment, a better space, especially when in rainfall. But that was one of the main problems in terms of the swamp that's nearby. They say when the rainfall, that swamp becomes somewhat of a hazard for the school because it overflows onto the school, and then children have difficulty advancing on the property of the school because of the flood waters and the contaminated waters, which also flows past a garbage dump site that is near there. So that was another concern raised. Where will these containers be placed upon knowing this information?
Well, thank you for communicating that information to me as it pertains to a hazard because, of course, I was trying to understand what type of hazard, but you explained well as it pertains to the flooding. We'll be able to accommodate for that. I'm going to go speak to Public Works Department as well as the contractor and see how we can mitigate against the problem of flooding as it pertains to the trailers. The trailers will go on the Jasper Dyke Primary School campus. It can't go on the walk site where construction is going to be taking place, unfortunately. So they will be placed on the school campus, and we'll see if we can mitigate against the problem of flooding. I understand the problem that's being spoken about by the residents, and it was promised some months ago. In the budget, we were able to secure the funding to be able to do it. We got access to that funding late last month, and we were able to get the contract signed, and work has commenced now. So we understand. Even myself, I get frustrated in terms of how long things take sometimes, but that's just the government process. You can't skip steps or you get in trouble. So we have the contract signed now, and we're looking forward to the students being able to move into that space, most likely by the conclusion of the Easter break.
I also raised the issue of the present temporary location of the school upstairs, the popular Foxy's restaurant. Well, according to the Education Act 2004, there are several sections of the legislation that addresses the subject of alcohol and schools. Section 60 subsection F states that a school security officer is responsible for, and I quote, patrolling the school premises as a deterrent to any illegal and immoral conduct, including but not limited to gambling, drug and alcohol use, loitering, sexual misconduct, vandalism, and pranks of a potentially dangerous nature, among others, end quote. Well, more importantly, Section 171, subsection 1 states, and I quote, that a sale, consumption, offer, or exposure of a sale of any alcoholic beverage or tobacco on the premises of any school, whether public or private or at a school function, is prohibited, end quote. Well, subsection 2 continues that, and I quote, a person who sells, consumes, offers, or exposes for sale any alcoholic beverage or tobacco on the premises of any school, whether public or private or at a school function, commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine not exceeding $1,500 or a term of imprisonment not exceeding 1 year or both, end quote. Well, according to this legislation, it means that the present location of the school upstairs Foxy's is a direct breach of this law. Well, I posed the question to Dr. Wheatley on whether he was aware of this breach and what will government be doing to address this issue.
I think this is valuable information that you've brought for me on behalf of the residents and the parents, and I think this is something that we should strongly consider. So the only thing I can say is I'll discuss those issues with the chief education officer and the principal, and then I'll let the residents know what's the conclusion of those deliberations.
But also, Minister, the final thing you just touched on just now was the fact that you said that you and your colleagues will be going to the table and discussing the issues, the solutions, and then coming back to the people of Jost Van Dyke to give them the update. But one of the things that the persons of Jost Van Dyke the parents and the residents of Jost Van Dyke would have touched on is the fact that they're sick and tired of the talking. They want action. So how soon can we see you coming back to the people to give them an update of meaningful nature where we'll see some sort of action happening?
Well, I understand the frustration that persons have because, of course, the conditions over there are not favorable. But I would say it's even ironic to say that there's been talk and no action because this is the most action we've seen in Jost Van Dyke in a very long time, especially over the last 10 years. We've had more action and we've seen more work being done in Jost Van Dyke than, the previous 8 years combined, really, in 4 years. And this is the closest they've gotten to a new school in a very long time. That new school has been promised to them for many years before the storm. And now it's actually about to go to tender. That's action. The school is going to be constructed. And to suggest that it's just talk it means that persons are not paying attention. Money has been budgeted. Tender documents are going to be going out and contracts will be signed. And a contract is a legally binding document. And the trailers, of course, we promised those and the contract was signed. That's something that we delivered on. And persons will have to point to me and say what promise has been made and hasn't been kept to the people of Jost Van Dyke. I would challenge anybody to tell us that. Now, they can say that things go more slowly than we would like to. And that's certainly a lot of that is out of my hands. That's just the way that government works. It works very slowly. It even frustrates myself. So just to suggest that it's a bunch of talk and no action is not accurate. We care about the people of Jost Van Dyke. We want to see them move forward. It has nothing to do with politics. I have children in the school system. I want my child and any child in the school system to have adequate access to the best facilities. So that's what it is. We're pushing for the people of Jost Van Dyke, and we're going to go as quickly as possible without violating any procedures of good governance.
So no timeline you can give as it pertains to when you'll be able to come back to the students, come back to the parents, sorry, and the residents with an update regarding some of the solutions you would have came up with following their concerns that they would have just issued.
Yes, I'm going to be coming to Jost Van Dyke perhaps sometime next week. We're going to have a meeting for the farmers and fishers bill that we're proposing, and I'll be able to discuss education matters with the people there. But as it pertains to the trailers, well, we know the trailers are moving forward. We anticipate before the children return to school for Easter that those will be completed. As it pertains to the situation at Foxy's, I'm going to discuss that immediately with the chief education officer and principal, and probably by next week I'll have some updates for them on that. And then they'll see the tender go out within the next 2 weeks.
Well, the minister has responded and says he will be looking into the numerous issues raised by the residents of Jost Van Dyke and will be returning with an update on a way forward in short order. Well, it is now to see what will be done and when these issues will be addressed. Well, we will be keeping you, the viewers, updated on this subject as more comes to light. But until then, I'm Kamal Haynes reporting for 24 News.